Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers with Green Akers Pest Control, and really appreciate everybody who's been subscribing to me, liking my videos, commenting, and like I said, every video, like, subscribe. I'm a local exterminator to Charlottesville, Virginia. I've got almost 30 years of experience in pest control, and I'd like to address this evening baiting for termites and if it's even effective or not. A lot of people like to push a baiting schedule. They will install traps. I've got a little printout here. That's kind of one of the most popular models of bait station. It's got a little lid on the top, if you see right there. And the way these work is an exterminator will come out to your house and they will bury them in the ground. Dig like a little post hole and push it in the ground, and they'll put a piece of cardboard in it. Now, they usually will set you up with a maintenance type program where they come out either once a month, every other month, quarterly, twice a year, or sometimes even just once a year, but that's really rare. Most people do come out quarterly as far as where I'm from, and I'm from Virginia. So that's what most people do. They set you up on about a quarterly basis. Now, I don't use bait stations. I have baited for termites before. I use a premise gel bait. That's one that I've used that I've had some success with. Not a great lot of success with baiting, but I use liquid application. Typically, Termidor applications what I usually use. Sodium borates work really well on termites as well, but that's what I do. I typically do chemical applications. If you've watched any of my other videos, it's just the way that I roll. But tonight I'm addressing the fact that I have found that bait stations really don't work. I've had to go behind other exterminators who have used bait stations, who have installed bait stations. They may have 20 bait stations around a house, and none of them have any termites in them whatsoever. The way a bait station works, like I said, an exterminator comes out to your house, they bury a bait station in the ground, they put a piece of cardboard in it. They'll monitor this bait station on a regular basis, and when termites get into the piece of cardboard, because termites eat cardboard, termites eat any wood products, trees, mulch, paper, cardboard, pallets, things like that, termites like to get into. And if you lay a piece of cardboard on the ground, the likeliness that termites will find it is, they claim is pretty high. That's what the selling point of a bait station is. And so when the termites get into that piece of cardboard, then they come behind and they put a piece of chemically treated cardboard in that little box. So that when the termites get into it, they eat that, they take it back to the colony, they kill the colony, and theoretically that would work. The problem is, if you have termites in your house and you've called an exterminator to come out and kill your termites, and they install bait stations and they haven't done a chemical application, well, the termites will continue to eat your house until they find that bait station. And I've been at homes where the bait stations have been installed for 3 years and the termites never found them. And the termites were just as happy eating the one particular guy's house, just eating it, and they had done a massive amount of damage, and they had a 3-year, an exterminator coming out to their house for 3 years, and they finally just got so sick and tired of the termites swarming every spring, and the exterminator not doing anything about it. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We've got these bait stations installed. That's gonna, that'll take care of your problem, and we're on top of it. Don't worry about it. Besides, the swarmers don't do damage. That's one of the comments I've heard that makes me sick to my stomach, actually. A thing about a termite colony. Now, I'm talking about subterranean termites. Now, you guys that live further south in Virginia, you may get Formosan termites or some drywood termites, they're also called. They're not the same as subterranean termites. Subterranean termites live underground. They come up from underground, they get the wood, or their food, which is wood, and they take it back down to their colony, and they feed the reproductives, they feed the babies, they take care of, they getting the food back and forth. Now, they can do massive amounts of damage to your home in the amount of time it takes them to, find a bait station. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't recommend bait stations. In fact, one of the things, when bait stations first came out, now I remember when they first started this whole let's bait for termites deal, and they for a few years it was, bait stations is all you needed. And then later they started saying, well, you really kind of need a chemical application along with your bait station. You want to treat those areas where the termites are active and then bait around the house as a preventative measure. And, which, to me makes more sense. But if you're going to chemically treat your soil around the house anyway, then why bait? Because you've already protected what the problem is. You've already protected your home. And if you use something like Termidor, which is non-repellent, that's what mostly everybody in the industry does use. It's the most expensive treatment for termites, but it also does the best job. And if you treat with Termidor, the way it works is the termites crawl through it. Theoretically, they don't die right away. It takes them a few days to die. They come into contact with other termites. It transfers from termite to termite. The second termite that gets that gets the contact from another, from the termite that actually had the exposure to Termidor, the second termite, that one then becomes infected, and he can then spread it to another termite and another termite and another termite. And so it's like a domino effect. You knock one down, you knock them all down, and typically within 90 days, the entire colony is wiped out and destroyed. It's very effective. I have had 100% success with Termidor. When you do a perimeter plus type treatment, which is you do the perimeter of the house plus anywhere there are active termites. And that's, trenching and everything, as far as label, everything you're supposed to do as far as treating for the termites. And that has been effective every time. I've never, ever had a problem with it compared to things like Dursban. Even when I was a child, I did help my father treat a house with chloroidane. I was like 7 years old crawling under a house. That's a real long time ago. Even compared to those two chemicals, which are highly repellent, Termidor just run circles around them both. Now, the only reason chloroidane would probably be somebody's preferred chemical if it was still legal is just because of the longevity of the chemical. It lasts a really long time. But Termidor is just, I've found that it's very effective. It's a 16-year residual. I've got homes we treated 16 years ago that we just had to do a few retreats on this year. And so I'm getting 16 years on the chemical. I haven't had any other houses that I've had to do any retreats on ever. It's just wonderful. I can't speak praises enough about it. It's just a great chemical. And when you've got things like that on the market, the only reason that an exterminator would set up a program using something like, that right there is just because of a maintenance. They want to get in on a maintenance. It's cheap. It's really easy to do. You go out there, you check a couple things, you get paid, and you really don't have to do anything. You don't have to put any active chemical in them at all until you find that there's termites in it. And so I find that it's more of a scam. I always have thought baiting was a scam. Now, I will admit there was one that I treated where the home had a rubble foundation. It was built during the war, and they didn't have a lot of concrete to mix in with the mortar for the walls of the foundation. And so it was mainly, the foundation was mostly sand and river rock. And the termites were coming up in the middle of the wall. They were coming right up, tunneling up through the wall, getting into the wood. Now, in a situation like that, you can't really treat the soil, and you can't get the chemical to absorb into the wall because the wall is concrete. And so what we did in that situation was we took some premise gel bait. Now, this is a bait that is in my opinion, it's probably the most effective gel bait on the market for termites. And we injected it into the active termite colony in the wood where the termites were traveling, and that worked. That was during the time where Dursban was still legal, and they had just started with baiting for termites and treating with like Termidor. We hadn't actually switched over to Termidor yet. A lot of our competitors had. And so we just used the premise gel bait and then the Dursban treatment around the outside of the house, and that worked. Because the termites that were able to get up through the wall that were avoiding the Dursban, because see, that's the problem with Dursban is it was a highly repellent chemical, so the termites recognize it for what it is, and they try to avoid it. And so they were still coming up in the middle of the wall, and they were getting into that premise gel bait. They were eating that and taking it back and killing the other colony, and that worked really, really well. And then after about 3 years that wore off, we had to do another retreat on the house, and we retreated with actually Termidor. By then we had actually switched over to Termidor. We treated the house with Termidor and never had any more problems ever again. And it's been, I couldn't even tell you how long it's been since we did the Termidor treatment on that house. I would have to look it up to be honest with you. And it's still termite free. And so I just, I can't speak praises of Termidor enough, but I don't like bait stations. I've done many jobs. I have gone behind other exterminators who have pushed this bait station kind of, regimen on people, and sold them a bill of sale for it. And it's not effective. Now I've been behind homeowners that have tried to do it themselves too, because you can buy these bait stations online and you can buy the chemicals and everything online and try to do it yourself. I've gone behind homeowners and they haven't, it hasn't worked for them either. And I always, recommend someone to hire an exterminator, because an exterminator is a professional. They can do it. You think you're saving yourself money, but you just end up having to hire an exterminator anyway. And so you're better off when it comes to termites. You really do need to hire an exterminator to do the work. But truthfully, here locally, a lot of exterminators have moved away from bait stations, but I know in other areas they're pushed pretty heavy. There's a couple of companies here locally that do still really push the bait station regimen. And so I'm just, I make this video just to tell you that I don't think it's a good idea. I wouldn't do it myself if it were my own home, and I don't guarantee bait stations. I don't apply bait stations. I don't use bait stations. And I hope this video has been helpful to anyone that's interested in baiting for termites, if they think it might work. Now, I will admit, I may use bait stations if there were a well really close to the property. There are labeled restrictions for chemical application. If a well is pretty close to the house, you don't want to poison well water, I might use bait stations then. But that would probably be the only time that I would ever use a bait station. But there are other chemical applications you can do that, in my opinion, are more effective than baiting. Termidor, not Termidor, but Timbor, for example, where you can actually treat the wood. Boric hair is one. There's several borates that you can use on wood that will kill termites in an active infestation that won't, that you actually don't even use on the ground. You can't use borates in the ground. You kill the grass and everything. So that's something that you actually use on the wood itself or in the wood. And that will kill termites. I think that would be more effective than baiting for termites. But anyway, y'all have a good evening. Like and subscribe. For those of you who have stayed through the whole me rambling about bait stations, I wanted to let you know I'm going to do a live Q&A session on YouTube. If you think that's a good idea, comment down below where you can come on. You can ask me any questions that you want. I've been talking to several people about it. I talked to a lady today about it. She says she thought it was a good idea, just to try to help you guys out if you have any questions. And if any exterminators want to come on and ask me questions, if you want to try to debate me or whatever, I'm open for that. I'm open for debate, open for any new suggestions. I'm always learning, always looking to help people out. So just give me a like, subscribe to my video. If you subscribe, that way you'll be able to see when I go live on YouTube. But I plan on doing live streaming and kind of like an Ask Exterminator kind of deal, where you can come on and you can ask me if you have any problems, if you are having issues where you live. Like I said, I live in Virginia. There are label restrictions based on which state you live in, which you can and cannot do, but I can answer your questions to the best of my ability. So like, subscribe. My web page is greenakerspc.com. Y'all have a great evening.